Why are you so angry all the time? Why are you so angry? Why are you so tight? Why are you so frustrated and aggravated and just woofing and barking and screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing and fussing? You're just angry all the time. Look, folks, I apologize in advance because I had originally put a post up saying that we were going to talk about loneliness tonight. And I'm actually going to incorporate loneliness into the anger discussion because it is definitely something that comes into play and can influence and inform whether or not people are having angry outbursts. But I'll connect those dots for you in a minute. But here's the thing that I really want you to be mindful of. There may be times in your life where you're just angry for the sake of being angry. But then there's a lot of times where anger is what we consider to be a secondary emotion. And what I mean by that is it's serving as the camouflage or the smoke and mirrors for more raw, authentic emotions that you haven't put your finger on the pulse of. You could be embarrassed, you can be ashamed, you could be humiliated, you could be afraid, you could be hungry, you could be feeling disrespected, you could be feeling dismissed or devalued. Fill in the blank. But people default to the word anger or default to other words like being pissed off or whatever language you use that describes these feelings that you're having that have you burning up on the inside, that has your face hot and your hands clenched and your jaws tight and your eye twitching and your face jumping and all of these things. And what I want to encourage you to do, hopefully by the end of tonight's discussion, is to become more aware of what's really going on with you that's coming out in the form of these angry outbursts. And it's so important to really understand how this is impacting you because it's tearing your relationships up. You all know, I've said time and time again, I love working with couples. And one of the recurring themes that comes up in the couples that I'm working with is anger. Everybody is just, their head is high. It's that emoji where the top of the head is popping off. That's how a lot of you are navigating life and love and your relationships, and you're relinquishing your power, you're relinquishing your self-control and your self-discipline to dirt, to dirty counters, to appliances, to the car being parked too close to the garage wall, to I told you to do this, that, and the third, to the trash, to the bed not being made, to not picking up the right item from the grocery store, forgetting an appointment. Everybody's angry. Everybody's so angry all the time. And here's the deal. If you look at anger in its true definition, anger is how your body responds to a perceived threat. Here's the thing that you have to be mindful of about that. The perceived threat can be real or imagined. And there are some of you who your number one way to communicate is angry. You're snapping, you're screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing and fussing, all of the things. And it's so debilitating. Just pause for a minute and think about the last time that you were literally really, really, really angry. I mean, maybe even to the point of enraged. You felt like your head was about to pop off. You were hot, more than likely. Maybe you were sweating. Maybe your heart was racing. Your face felt like it was on fire. You were grinding your teeth. Everything in your body was tense. Your heart rate was elevated. Your blood pressure was escalated. But why? Is it because there was something that you needed and that need didn't get met? Is it because you needed somebody personally or professionally in your life to be emotionally available for you, to have an emotional connection with you of some sort, and that didn't happen? Was it because you were triggered because you maybe have some stuff that is unresolved that you've been carrying? Or maybe it's because you haven't completely started to understand that you teach people how to treat you, and you're angry with somebody who's engaging in behavior that you've allowed. And because you allow that behavior, it's the same thing as saying that it's okay that they continue to behave this way, even though it makes you feel like your head is going to pop off. So are you really angry at them, or are you angry at yourself? Everybody triggers. People throw that triggers word around like, we're talking about spaghetti and meatballs and going to McDonald's or to get some ice cream or something. Everybody's triggered. Everybody has this immediate emotional response to that perceived threat. You feel disrespected. You don't like being interrupted. You are going through something that has come up that's reminding you of a past traumatic experience that you've had. You're triggered. Everybody's triggered. You know what I find so interesting about all of this conversation around triggers? I very rarely hear people talk about the steps that they can take to learn how to manage their triggers. So triggers becomes a scapegoat. I was triggered. Oh my gosh, I was so triggered. I was triggered. I'm screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing, fussing, and acting like a plumb lunatic because I was triggered. As if to suggest that there's no tips or strategies or tools that one can employ to manage triggers so that your triggers aren't managing you. Just saying. Or are you just feeling this floodgate of emotions and you haven't taken the time to learn or practice or implement tools and strategies that can help you to better manage your emotions, so you just let your emotions manage you? You're tense and you're tight and you hear me talk all the time about these internal negative narratives. You done made up in your mind that when you see them, when you hear them, when you cross paths with them, they gonna catch it today. They getting cussed out from A to Z. Well, you're entertaining the flood of emotions. You've made a conscious decision to not regulate your emotions. You've made a conscious decision to show them better than you can tell them. But guess what? You're the one with the elevated blood pressure. You're the one with the headache. You're the one with your teeth all tore up because you keep grinding them down. You're the one with the clenched fist. You're the one with, almost got into an accident because you have road rage because you don't want to take the necessary steps that need to be taken to learn how to control yourself. Some of you are so stressed out and you're so tired because you won't even look up in the dictionary how to spell self-care. You're tired. You need some sleep. You need a vacation. You need a break. You need boundaries put in place in your life so that the people that are influencing you coming unglued aren't yielding all of this power over you. When you're tired, when you're stressed out, you're nowhere near as tolerant as you might otherwise be. You've heard me say before that if you want to look at the simplest definition of emotional regulation, your ability to control your emotions, it's increasing your tolerance for frustration. If you don't increase your tolerance for frustration, then everything and everybody has more control over you than you do. Everything and everybody has the ability to punch your code 2, 3, 4. Watch, there she goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, there he goes. You're surrendering your power all day, every day to people, places, and things that have your code. I tell my clients, you better learn how to change your code. You better change your code on a regular basis. Just like you know how periodically they'll tell us, depending on certain platforms where you may be going to conduct business, especially at work, right? For those of you that work in settings that have high security risks and things of that nature, they will make you change your password quarterly, every other month or something like that. When it comes to human behavior, when it comes to your ability to control yourself, change your code. Change your code and make a conscious decision to stop being a slave to your emotions. It has to be deliberate. It has to be intentional. One of the things that I tell my clients on a regular basis is because I said, well, Dr. Pitts, you always make it sound so easy. I never said that changing was easy. But aren't you worth doing it? Aren't you sick and tired and frustrated of sitting in this place and space where everything and everybody is causing you to fly off the handle? You're the one that's suffering. You have to be willing to practice self-control and self-discipline. You didn't come out the womb like this. You didn't come out the womb angry. I mean, when they slapped you, but you didn't come out the womb angry. You've learned it. You've transformed into this angry, hostile, bitter, resentful, miserable human being that has relinquished your power to atmospheric pressures, to atmospheric people and circumstances and all of these things that quite frankly does not have a right to control you. But you're like this. Ah! And you let everything and everybody manage you instead of you managing you. So believe it or not though, there are some pros. I'm going to give you a couple. There are some pros to being able to express your anger in a healthy way. The problem though is, I'm just going to keep it real, 100% of the people that I have worked with on my caseload and that I currently have on my caseload that are dealing with anger management issues are not expressing their anger in a positive way. They're expressing it in a negative way. So for those of you who don't know, some of the ways that you can express your anger in positive ways is it's a healthy emotional release. It's like you walking around all balled up and tight. You can't sleep. You're grinding your teeth at night. You got indigestion and you have ulcers and acid reflux and all of these things. That's an indication that you're holding all of this negative emotion inside your body. And when you learn how to release your anger and your frustration in healthy ways, that emotional release, when done appropriately, can serve you very, very well. It can be instrumental in helping you to strengthen your emotional well-being. But you know what a lot of you do? You have a lot of you are walking volcanoes ready to erupt. You are conflict avoidant until you're not, and then you're flipping out. But what I say to you is, take charge of your emotional experiences and be deliberate and intentional in putting your finger on the pulse of what you're really feeling, and be deliberate and intentional in learning how to convey what you're really feeling in a way that allows you to release those emotions in non-destructive ways. Another way that anger can be demonstrated in a positive way is what I like to call a value indicator. And what I mean by that is, I explain to my clients that there's a relationship between your emotional experiences and your value system. And what that looks like is when you have values, when you are clearly able to define the things that you value beyond the superficial stuff, right? I mean, like, really think about it. When your values are dishonored, you are going to have a negative emotional experience. And dependent upon the magnitude and the amount of time that your values are dishonored, that negative emotional experience can morph on you and transition into emotional pain. And oftentimes, when people are experiencing emotional pain, they explode. But what I'm saying to you is, instead of defaulting to, oh, I'm angry, oh, I'm about to snap, oh, I'm about to black out, oh, I'm about to do these things, take a step back for a second and think about, okay, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know what? I value respect. And I feel as if you just disrespected me based upon X, Y, and Z behavior. So what that does is create an opportunity for you to be able to say, hey, this behavior equates disrespect to me. And I'm not okay with being disrespected. Hey, I got to put a boundary around that. I have to put a boundary around that so that you're not rubbing up against my value system. And it's resulting in these negative emotional experiences that are manifesting themselves as angry outbursts. So when something is rubbing you the wrong way, take a step back and think about, wait a minute, this is an indication to me that this is something that I value, and this person or this experience is rubbing up against that value. The other thing is optimism. Well, Dr. Pitts, what do you mean by that? Anger can be a driving force to help you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. One of the running jokes that me and my husband have is, he'll tell you quick, tell her she can't do it. If you tell her she can't do it, you're going to piss her off, because she's going to feel like, did you just insult my intelligence? Did you just tell me that I can't do, I can't be, I can't have, I can't experience because I'm a woman, because I'm black, because I'm middle-aged, because I'm short, because I'm fill in the blank? That is a definite motivator for me. When you tell me that I can't do something because of your limited belief system, it lights a fire under me. And it angers me. But it doesn't anger me to the point where I'm going to flip out. Don't you know who I am? No. I'm not doing any of that. It is going to fuel me creating an action plan that I can put actionable steps in motion to demonstrate you underestimated me. You doubted me. And I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G to get it done. It's a motivator because it's going to force me to tap into greater levels of optimism about my ability to be extraordinary. Self-improvement. Anger can help you to get personal insight and to improve yourself. What do I mean by that? Let me tease that out for you real quick. People don't like to be checked. People don't like to feel like somebody is criticizing them. People don't like to feel like somebody is correcting them or chastising them. But what I want you to really wrap your arms around is this. If you're not growing, you're stagnant. And stagnant leads to death. And no, it doesn't have to be as extreme as physical death, but it can certainly be a death to your personal development. It can be death to your career advancement. It can be death to your maturity. It can be death to your emotional intelligence. Everybody's delivery might not always be ideally what you would like for it to be, but that doesn't mean that they're not telling you the truth. Be mature enough, responsible enough, and desire to be better enough that you are willing to listen. Because here's the thing, my grandma used to say it all the time. If multiple people are telling you the same thing, chances are that should be something you should be paying attention to, because everybody's not lying to you. So if everybody's telling you you have a stank attitude, if everybody is telling you that you take things too personal, if everybody is telling you that you're self-centered and self-absorbed and you always making it about you, if everybody is telling you that you're playing the victim all of the time, chances are there's truth in that, and you might want to pay attention to it, because it's going to be instrumental in your self-improvement rather than your angry outburst. You feel like everybody always judging me, criticizing me. Who you think you are? Somebody said it to me earlier, that one of the conversations that they frequently have with a toxic person in their life is anytime there's any effort to add value to the person, the wounded individual lashes out and is quick to say, who you think you are. And what I said to the person was, I said, the next time that person says that to you, this is what you tell them. I think that I'm someone who's healing. I think that I'm someone who's made a decision to not be the walked wounded anymore. I think that I'm someone who wants to experience joy and peace and love and happiness and fulfillment, rather than walking around breathing fire on everybody and singeing them up because I don't want to heal or because I'm afraid to heal. What are the cons of your anger? Let me just say this. As someone you all have heard me say before, once upon a time, not long ago, 30 years-ish, which is not really long in the grand scheme of things, I had difficulty managing my emotions. I had difficulty managing my anger. And because I lacked self-control and self-discipline in managing my anger, it resulted in a number of very serious consequences. And among those serious consequences was the fracturing and in some occasions the destruction of relationships that were very, very significant to me. When you are ruled by anger, it is not serving you well. It is not helpful. Anger is a distraction. It's a distraction from what you really need to be doing. It's a distraction from what you really need to be courageous enough to say. It's a distraction from the raw, authentic emotion that you're really feeling that perhaps you don't have the courage to articulate to others in a particular situation. Being ruled by your anger can leave you experiencing an exorbitant amount of regret. Why? Because it can be the result that you experience from saying and doing things that after the fact you really truly didn't want to say or do. You were being led by your emotions, and your emotions put you in a position where you said things that you can't unsay, and you did things that you can't undo, and now you have to live with the consequences, i.e. the regret of the damage that your mouth and your behavior has done. Being fueled by your anger makes it hard for you to communicate effectively with people that you care about or in situations and circumstances that really matter to you. I tell folks all the time, if you want to communicate with me, you can't scream, yell, hoop, holler, cuss, and fuss at me, because I will be quick to say, so clearly you're not in a position to have a rational, adult, mature conversation right now. Let me know when you're ready, and I will walk away from you. I'm not screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing, and fussing. I'm not doing any of that. I'm breaking the core negative interaction pattern, and I'm going to let you act a fool all by yourself. But I'm not. I'm not going to engage in battle with you. I'm not going to get into a wee-wee contest with you or a flame-throwing contest with you. I'm going to maintain my composure so that, at least from my end, the communication remains effective. And I'll wait for you to learn some self-control, some self-discipline, and quite frankly, some maturity so that you can have an adult conversation. Anger can lead to conflict. Why? Because it escalates. And it can go left really quick. It can go left, south, it can go to jail. It can go a whole lot of places that it doesn't need to go, because when that argumentativeness, that combativeness, it can get all types of stuff riled up. I used to say back in the day, and actually it's still a thing that I live by. It was a conversation that I had with my husband before we even started dating. Don't ever back me into a corner. Literally or figuratively, do not back me into a corner, because I have a lengthy trauma history, and when you back me into a corner, it's fight or flight. I'm not a flight type chick. I'm a fight type chick. So my trauma response is swing. Still, my trauma response is swing. So don't back Lauren into a corner. And I say that I'm not trying to be bold or brazen or be so tough or so much or anything like that. It goes back to what I said a few moments ago. You have to have a level of awareness about why you react the way that you do. For me, certain behaviors trigger a trauma response, and my trauma response is fight. So to avoid any of that, don't back me into a corner. Guilt. Anger can make you feel guilty and ashamed. Why? Because it goes back to what we said in the regret piece. You're saying and doing things that you can't unsay, that you can't undo, and now you feel like the scum of the earth because you done called somebody everything but a child of God. You done talked about their stuff, all the things, and now they feel disrespected, they feel belittled, degraded, demeaned, and all. And what you do, you can't unsay it. And people play the crazy stuff that you say because you can't control your mouth. They replay the mean, hateful, nasty things that you've done out of anger. And you know what it conveys? I'm not safe with you. I'm not safe with you. So I might stay in a relationship with you, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop, because you don't demonstrate self-control and self-discipline, and every time you get your butt up on your back, you come samurai sword waving, you coming for the juggler, you going for the kill shot, and you leaving me emotionally bleeding in the street. Anger can impact your self-esteem. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with over the years who have such a low opinion of themselves because of the damage that they have done, because of their unwillingness, not their inability, because of their unwillingness to demonstrate self-control and self-discipline and control their anger. There's a bunch of you out there that have health issues because of your inability to control your anger. You have high blood pressure, you have acid reflux, you have migraines, you have constipation, you fill in the blank. You've got a wide variety of health issues because you don't control you can't sleep, your teeth all jacked up, your appetite all jacked up, your breathing is messed up, your heart rate, you got panic attacks and anxiety attacks, you have all the attacks because you can't control your anger. Being angry can result in you being more judgmental and more critical of others. And what I tell people, as somebody said to me many, many, many years ago, be first partaker of your own words. So one of the things that I say to my clients is, so you're busy pointing the finger. You're externalizing everything. You're transferring and you're projecting all of this, all of this, all of this. What would that look like if you looked in the mirror? What would it look like if you actually were mature enough to stop blaming, to stop scapegoating, to stop internalizing everything that's wrong onto other people's situations and circumstances, and you looked in the mirror and acknowledged that, okay, wait, yes, this happened, yes, this was said, yes, this was did, and all of those things, but at the end of the day, if I'm honest, I'm enslaved by a corpse. And truth be told, I'm afraid to acknowledge that the condition of my life is a direct result of decisions that I have made because of and in spite of the atmospheric pressures and experiences that I have had. People are terrified to take responsibility and accountability for how they relate to their adverse experiences. It's easier to say it's your fault, you said it, you did it, you're the reason for all of my unhappiness, and I'm enraged about it. So I'm going to judge you, and I'm going to criticize you, and I'm going to accuse you of being a horrible human being, rather than take responsibility and accountability for the fact that I've taught you how to treat me. And I keep screaming, yelling, hooting, hollering, cussing, and fussing at you for not changing, when in actuality, I'm the one that has to change. But folks don't want to do that. So I promised you in the beginning that I was going to make a connection between anger and loneliness, because I had originally said that I was going to speak on loneliness tonight. Loneliness can cause anger, believe it or not. It really can. It can cause people to feel sad and angry and helpless because they have such a negative perception of themselves. You would be blown by the number of people, particularly my Gen Zs, who have convinced themselves that they're going to be alone for the rest of their lives, who are convinced that all men are dogs or all women are hoes, and there's just absolutely positively, with the over 7 billion people on planet Earth, that there's no person that could possibly check off some of their boxes that they could have a healthy, loving, fulfilling, and sustainable relationship with. And they're angry about it. And what I say to folks is everybody in the world sorry? Or do you keep attracting sorry people because you haven't done the self-work to address your personal deficiencies to better position you to meet another flawed human being, because we all are, but whose flaws are tolerable enough that they would still be an ideal partner for you, and you can have a healthy, loving, fulfilling, and sustainable relationship with them despite some of their flaws. Anger can be caused by loneliness because people don't want to engage with other people. They don't trust other people. Their personal deficiencies have resulted in them being hurt over and over and over and over and over again because their people screening button isn't working properly. So they keep finding themselves in these broken and conflictual relationships that result in them isolating, and they're isolating because see the vicious cycle? It's this core negative interaction pattern that keep them stuck in this vortex of madness that is leading to more anger, which is leading to more loneliness. And you know what needs to happen? You need to heal. You need to heal. When you learn how to regulate your emotions, believe it or not, it'll make it easier for you to not isolate. Loneliness breeds low self-esteem, more introversion, more pessimism, more shyness and argumentativeness and combativeness and anxiety, and it diminishes your social skills, and it makes it more difficult for you to engage with other people in harmonious ways. More of the vicious cycle. You have to make some choices. You get to decide if you're going to manage your anger so that you can get ahead and break the cycle of some of these issues in your life so that you can have healthy, fulfilling, and sustainable relationships. But here's the mind blower, folks. In order for you to have healthy, loving, fulfilling, and sustainable relationships, the first person that you need to have a healthy relationship with is you. And part of how you can have a healthier relationship with yourself is learning how to manage your anger. There's times that you just got to take a step back. You have to take a break from these toxic, unhealthy conversations that you're having with people. I tell my husband all the time, shake your tree. Shake your tree. Stop reacting. Why is this person even somebody that you're having a conversation with? Ew. Yuck. What, like, why? Why are you entertaining these toxic, miserable, ilky people who are miserable? Misery loves company. I tell folks, I'm not having a political conversation with you. I'm not having no religious debate with you. There's just some conversations that I'm just not going to have. Not because I'm avoiding. It's not a matter of avoidance. It's a matter of there are just things that I'm not going to expend my energy on. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. And at the end of the day, many of you are so miserable, hateful, and nasty that you're so set in your ways that it doesn't make a difference what I could say. You're still going to be dogmatic. You're going to be like a dog with a darn bone based on your position. And that's okay. You are entitled to your perspective. And I'm not arguing with you about mine. Shake the tree and back off of some of those conversations that leave you coming out feeling tight, like you're about to have a massive heart attack, about to fall on the floor, your head hurt, you're feeling all ilky and disgusting. Why are you even entertaining them folk? You don't have to do that. Why are you allowing folk to get you in such a funky headspace that you would just as soon bust your head on the wall or slap their face off? Don't do it. Do something to take your mind off of the things, the incidents that have you all fired up, right? I don't sit in stuff. There are stuff that frustrates me, right? But I'm not going to sit in it. And that's what I'm saying to you. Don't sit in it. Process through it. You know what? Release it. Release it. Don't let it hang out in your mind or in your body. Stop letting folk live rent-free in your heart, mind, spirit, and soul. Evict them. Evict them and do some personal inventory to determine, how do we end up in this situation in the first place? And we can't control every single solitary thing. But you know what you can control? Your reaction to it. You gotta be able to, again, put your finger on the pulse of what triggered the angry outburst. What triggered that escalation that took you there? Was there anything that you could have done in a positive, productive, and healthy way that could have de-escalated that situation? I tell folks, y'all have heard me say it time and time again, there are just certain things, like, to the best of my ability, there are certain people that I'm not fooling with you. I'm not fooling with you. I'm not going to put myself in a position for bear pokers to poke me. If I know that you a bear poker and I know you get off on punching my buttons, I'm not fooling with you. I'm not fooling with you. You have demonstrated that I am not emotionally safe with you. You have demonstrated that you don't deserve intimate access to me. And yes, that does mean some family members. I keep telling y'all, just because you hang on the same family tree with them don't mean that you have to let them punch your code. But hear what I'm telling you? I'm trying to help you out. You also have to be willing to value your partner or other people's vulnerability, meaning that there's a degree of passion and common humanity that we each can choose to demonstrate in interacting with another person. We don't have to agree with another person's emotional experience to respect it. We don't have to agree with another person's emotional experience to validate it. I'm sorry you feel that way. I can't imagine how painful that must be for you. You get to choose to not react. You can practice good communication. You can practice not screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing, and fussing. You can practice not going to 0 to 100 in 2.3 seconds flat. But I think that some of you like being angry. You like screaming, yelling, hooping, hollering, cussing, and fussing because it's easy. It's easy to do that. It takes work to demonstrate self-control and self-discipline. It takes work to be mature and responsible and to show up as an adult rather than a petulant child throwing a temper tantrum. But that's your choice. And then lastly, can you just breathe? Ocean breathing. I love, love, love ocean breathing. I talked about it last week. It's the tide, baby. Pace your breathing to match the tide. Slowly breathe in, slowly breathe out. Practice controlling yourself. You've been practicing flicking off and being a volcano waiting to erupt all these years. You better stop before you have a heart attack or a stroke. I'm saying, I'm being dead serious. I'm not trying to be insensitive. You better stop. So look, there's more. But if you want to hear it, if you want to learn it, I need you to join me on Monday, September 23rd and Tuesday, September the 24th from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for our virtual couples boot camp. You can learn more about everything that I talked about tonight, everything that I talk about every Thursday night based on couples. I said before, you don't have to be a couple, but it's organized for couples. Because I feel like y'all should be tired of arguing and fussing and fighting and having these knockdown, drag out verbal altercations, and some of which are escalating and all types of craziness. You can register for the virtual boot camp at Dr. Pitt's relationshipfix.com. That's Dr. Pitt's relationshipfix.com. It is time to get healthy. It is time to stop being angry and frustrated and hostile and bitter and nasty. It is time to stop wounding the people that you profess to love and care about. It's time. But it's up to you. That's all I have. I'll see you next week. Peace.